The following program paid for by Lifespan Wealth Management. Providing financial advice since 1993. It's time for Your Money with Sherry Goss, Randy Goss, and Jonathan Eisner. And now from the Macon studios of News Talk 940 WMAC, it's Your Money.
Good morning, Middle Georgia, and thanks for tuning in to Your Money, produced by Lifespan Wealth Management. As financial advisors, the main thing we do is provide retirement planning advice and manage our clients' investment accounts. So if you're looking for an investment advisor, call our office at 478-922-8100 to set up your complimentary consultation.
Lifespan Wealth Management has offices in Macon and Warner Robins for your convenience and has been serving Middle Georgia for over 30 years. You can learn more about our services by visiting our website at retirerelax.com. And while you're on our site, go to the special reports section where you'll find several reports that are available to you for free. You can also sign up to receive our digital feeds, which are short videos providing great information relevant to retirement, investing, and matters that affect your money.
We also offer seminars to the community at no cost. So if you're in need of a guest speaker for your church or civic organization, give us a call, and together we can decide what topics you would like us to present to your group. Again, our contact number is 478-922-8100.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So good morning, Middle Georgia. The weather is beautiful and it's time to get outside and enjoy it. Have a family picnic at Emerson River Park, or just take a walk in downtown Macon to see the new restaurants and all the new construction that is happening. It is just fantastic. So Mother's Day.
What new restaurants are down there? Are you guys?
Well, there's a new one on Cotton Avenue. We haven't tried it yet.
Oh, yeah.
But there's one new one there. I can't think of another new one.
Jalapenos is pretty new.
I know you guys
Jalapenos,
go there, yeah.
And we like going to Jalapenos.
The people are so nice.
They're very nice, and the food is fantastic. So if you haven't been there, give it a shot.
Cool.
So Mother's Day is around the corner, and I have an idea for you mothers. We always went to Randy's mother's house for the day, so because I didn't get to have my own Mother's Day, I created Mother's Week. The week before Mother's Day, I made a list of all the things everyone else could do for me. I asked our son to detail my car and cook dinner one night. I asked our daughter to clean the house and water the plants. I can't recall what I asked Randy to do, but I had an extra chore for each of them every day for 5 days. And they loved doing something nice for me, and it gave me a break. My point is that Mother's Day doesn't have to be about cooking for everyone else or spending money. Give your mom a break and some help, and she will love it.
That's great. And Sherry, I don't think you really realize that's the same week that Sherry, the kids and I started planning our annual vacations together. To Savannah, to Florida, caving in Tennessee. So.
But no, it was wonderful because I'd come home and everything would be done and I could just relax and go play golf.
Nice. It was nice. The kids did enjoy it too.
They did.
So.
It made them feel good.
Hey, and before we get started, our apologies for the last couple of weeks. We have been experiencing some technical difficulties with the systems here. So we bought some new equipment, and we're hoping that will cut out some of the chirping and
the
some
gaps.
of the gaps in the.
It already sounds better.
Yeah, I think I can hear a difference already too. So, but we do appreciate your feedback. So anytime you've got feedback on the quality of the broadcast, please just email me at randy@rfmoney.com.
All righty.
All right. April's job report came out Friday morning and showed us that the U.S. hiring remained sturdy in April as the economy added 177,000 jobs despite jitters over tariffs and widening federal government layoffs. Basically, this number beat the expectations and straddled the line between a solid economy that prevailed before Trump announced his tariff plans and the uncertainty that has since undercut consumers and business confidence. And while the job report came in better than expected, the weekly jobless claims climbed again. First-time filings for unemployment insurance totaled a seasonally adjusted 241,000 for the week and ended April 26 up 18,000 from the prior week and higher than the estimate for 225,000. Continuing claims, which were on a week behind and provided a broader view of layoff trends, rose 1.92 million, up 83,000 to the highest level since November 13th. And IBM announced a $150 billion investment in the U.S. over a period of years in computing and AI. And let's see, and last weekend, officials released the framework for negotiations with 18 of our trading partners, excluding China.
Yep, still waiting on that China negotiation for sure. As far as the stock market's concerned, we have seen what appears to be some stabilization over the last week and a half or so. There has been a lot less volatility than we experienced the prior 7 or 8 weeks, for sure, as markets appear to have priced in this tariff frenzy.
So, local news, I watched the replay of Lester Miller's State of the Community speech this week. And if you didn't hear it, here are some of the great things he's going to get done in Macon during his term. He says a new Coliseum will be built to attract more concerts and events and called it the Macon Arena. There are plans to build housing and retail shops on the river off Riverside Drive, plans to build a new convention center, and plans to add more planes and flight destinations to the Bibb County Airport. There was more than that, but this was the fun stuff, and this guy is really doing a great job.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job, and you don't hear a lot of detractors and people spinning things around just because they might be on the other side of the political spectrum, and that alone is refreshing.
Or on the other side of a school camera speeding ticket.
Right.
Sherry and I have been there.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there. So, United States Sovereign Wealth Fund, first impressions. On February 3rd, President Trump issued Executive Order 14196, directing the Secretary of the Treasury and the Secretary of Commerce, in coordination with the Assistant to the President for Economic Policy, to develop a plan for the establishment of a United States Sovereign Wealth Fund with the aim of promoting the long-term financial health and international leadership of the United States. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent called the creation of a U.S. fund an issue of great strategic importance. If you look at the executive order, it is like most others. It is one page in length and light in details. It states that U.S. policy is to maximize the stewardship of our national wealth for the sole benefit of American citizens and recognizes the nation's interest in promoting fiscal sustainability, lessening the burden of taxes on American family and small businesses, establishing economic security for future generations, and promoting U.S. economic and strategic leadership internationally. The order calls for the development of a plan that includes recommendations for funding mechanisms, investment strategies, and governance, as well as an evaluation of the legal considerations for establishing and managing the fund, including any need for legislation. The plan is due in 90 days from the date of EO.
Yeah, the idea of a federal sovereign wealth fund for the United States is not new. President Trump promoted the creation of a sovereign wealth fund during his presidential campaign, and President Biden expressed interest in such an initiative during his administration. A bill was even introduced in the House of Representatives last year to explore the creation of this fund. Moreover, other sovereign wealth funds within the United States already exist. More than 20 states, including Alaska, New Mexico, North Dakota, Texas, and Wyoming, have them, some which date back to the 19th century. And several Native American tribes and Alaska Native corporations also have established funds similar to SWFs. The federal government is already an active investor in private enterprises through IQTEL, the Central Intelligence Agency's venture capital arm, and the International Development Finance Corporation, which is an agency of the United States that invests in development projects abroad. If the United States decides to move forward and actually form a sovereign wealth fund, it will join the ranks of more than 60 countries with these funds, some of which have multiple funds at both the national and the provincial levels. Collectively, these funds worldwide hold over $13 trillion in assets.
Yep, SWFs, that is sovereign wealth funds, take on many forms, including stabilization funds, saving funds, development funds, pension reserve funds, and strategic investment funds formed for one or more diverse purposes. Some noteworthy items include helping a country meet the cost of future pension obligations,
Which is a big deal.
that is huge, and accumulating savings for future generations, and providing a cushion against economic volatility. The bottom line is that these funds can be used for just about anything. While the exact direction of a federal SWF is currently uncertain, initial public statements from President Trump and others in his circle suggest it would be a blend of savings, development, and a strategic investment fund. As a savings fund, it would seek to accumulate and preserve wealth for future generations. As a development fund, it would seek to invest in projects and initiatives that promote economic growth and development within the country. As a strategic investment fund, it would aim to achieve specific policy objectives or support industries deemed important for national interests.
An important question for this fund is, where does the money come from? Most nations fund their SWFs with budget surpluses, foreign exchange reserves, or commodity exports. These sources are largely unavailable to the United States for several reasons. First, the U.S. federal government budget has run a deficit each year since 2001, and since 2016, spending increases have outpaced the growth of federal revenue. Today, the U.S. national debt is around $36.8 trillion, and in 2024 alone, the U.S. spent $882 billion in debt service. Nearly $1 out of every $5 in taxes collected pays interest on prior borrowings. That is nauseating and unsustainable. Raising taxes to fund a SWF is inconsistent with the executive order's stated goal of lessening the burden of taxes and is unlikely under a Republican-controlled Congress. Meanwhile, tariffs proposed by Trump are estimated to raise only $20 billion in revenue in 2025, according to the Committee for a Responsible Budget. The other point is that while the U.S. holds foreign currency reserves, those reserves are relatively modest. Because the U.S. dollar is the world's primary reserve currency, the United States has less need than most to hold large amounts of foreign currency. According to the IMF, International Monetary Fund, as of 2023, U.S. foreign currency reserves were around $234 billion, a stark contrast to the reserves held by countries like China, which surpassed $3 trillion. Nor does the United States enjoy the trade surplus that is the source of funding for some countries.
And another point is that our government does not own oil and gas companies the way some other countries do. Although our nation has substantial land and offshore areas rich in natural resources, the exploration of such properties is generally handled by private companies via leases for exploration and production. The revenue from these leases is directed into the Treasury's general fund and then, when applicable, shared with state governments where the extraction takes place. This revenue supports a variety of federal government activities and programs such as conservation and reclamation projects and contributes to the overall federal budget. Such revenues would need to be directed from the currently supported expenditures in order to fund the Sovereign Wealth Fund and would deepen our annual budget deficit.
Yep, and it's worth noting that the U.S. already faces challenges in funding its obligations to future generations of retirees, which is, Sherry's, what you were talking about earlier when you said how huge it is to be able to preserve that. In roughly a decade, based on current projections, Social Security will face a shortfall without changes to benefits or fresh funding. Thus, given its fiscal constraints, the U.S. would need to approach SWF financing creatively. Treasury Secretary Bessent suggested that a federal SWF could be funded by monetizing the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet. Well, what does that mean? According to the White House fact sheet, the federal government directly holds $5.7 trillion in assets, and a far larger sum indirectly, including natural resource reserves. For example, U.S. gold reserves alone are massive. The Treasury Department estimates that the U.S. owns 261.5 million troy ounces, and that equates to over 8,100 tons of gold. The fair market value of all that gold is approximately $840 billion, based on gold's spot price of $3,214 earlier this week. The U.S. owns billions of dollars in real estate and other assets. All these assets could help seed the fund.
Yep. Treasury Secretary Bessent stated that the Trump administration would study the best practices around the world and indicated that he expects the fund to be running within 12 months. There are numerous ways to fund this fund could be structured.
As the Trump administration wrestles with these questions, it'll be interesting to see who is tasked with the management. Next up, the Trump administration is considering investments in domestic companies that mine and process critical minerals in an effort to reduce America's reliance on imports. The Trump administration is exploring various investment strategies, including a sovereign wealth fund to strengthen the U.S. supply of critical minerals such as rare earths. China is the top global producer of 30 of the 50 minerals that the U.S. Geological Survey considers to be critical. For rare earths, which comprise a group of 17 elements, it has a near monopoly over the global supply chain, accounting for over 60% of the mine production and nearly all of the processing. The U.S., meanwhile, has limited domestic production and imported about 80% of the rare earths it used last year, with most of that coming from China. Now, China has weaponized its critical minerals dominance by imposing export restrictions on 7 rare earths, highlighting the urgency for the U.S. to develop its own sources. Last week, the White House identified 10 mining projects to be fast-tracked under the FAST-41 permitting initiative. These include projects covering copper, lithium, and antimony in states such as Idaho, Arizona, and Nevada. So I emailed my family who's in Idaho, to ask if they'd heard about any of this happening near them because it could be a huge boon for the state. And they responded that they didn't know any such thing.
Well, it will be great for the Panhandle area of Idaho. There are mines and mining projects that have been stuck in the permit quagmire for decades because of onerous EPA regulations. And this past Wednesday, the Interior Department announced that it will expedite the development of domestic energy resources and critical minerals. And under this new emergency permitting system, the mine project's approval could be reduced from years down to just 28 days at most. As part of its plan to boost domestic production of critical minerals, the Trump administration has also proposed to build metal refining facilities on Pentagon military bases as part of an executive order last month. And why not? There is usually lots of land on these bases that is not being used. So put it to good use.
Yeah, and you already have 24/7 security.
That's right.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yep. Switching gears, Ukraine and the U.S. to sign economic deal for minerals. The Trump administration reached a deal with Ukraine, giving the U.S. access to its mineral wealth. This comes after a period of last-minute haggling held up an agreement that President Trump had sought previously, which was intended to compensate the U.S. for helping Ukraine fight off Russia's invasion. Treasury Secretary Bessent hailed the deal as a step toward a negotiated end to the war in Ukraine and a beginning of the country's reconstruction. In tightly controlled negotiations, the Trump administration dropped its insistence that the agreement allows Washington to recoup billions of dollars of past military aid. A signed agreement will provide a morale boost for Ukraine as its people face daily bombardment from Russia. The attacks have killed and wounded dozens of civilians across the country in recent weeks as negotiations for a ceasefire continue without success. Central to the agreement is an investment fund that both Ukraine and the U.S. will contribute to and oversee. The U.S.-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund, that's what it's called. The signing of the deal ensures that the U.S. and its allies will take the lead in any reconstruction. The intent is that no state or person who financed or supplied the Russian war machine will be allowed to benefit from the reconstruction of Ukraine. Trump has portrayed the deal as a way for the U.S. to recoup tens of billions of dollars in military aid to Ukraine. While the two sides were quiet about the details during the talks in the past few weeks, officials in Kiev on Wednesday said that the deal contained a major concession to Ukraine. They said the latest draft doesn't require Kiev to repay past military aid. However, the U.S. would be able to count new military aid as a contribution to the fund. The deal still needs to be ratified by the Ukrainian parliament.
That's very good. Trump signs executive order pushing AI education in schools, and here's what that means for Central Georgia. The executive order gives agencies 180 days to develop AI education resources. The order establishes a White House task force on artificial intelligence education and directs multiple federal agencies to develop AI training resources for students and teachers.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be difficult to create. There's just a ton of information on the topic already and a lot of really talented people working in this field. So this should be a no-brainer.
Yeah, the order states that it is the policy of the United States to promote AI literacy and proficiency among Americans by promoting the appropriate integration of AI into education, providing comprehensive AI training for educators, and fostering early exposure to AI concepts and technology. We talk about this just about every week on the show, about incorporating this into the education. While Houston County Schools currently have no AI certification programs in place, we reported in August that Houston County high school teachers used a program to help detect AI written assignments, and they were trying to teach students how to responsibly use the technology. Central Georgia Technical College has already implemented AI technology in its educational approach. Allison Ripinski, who is an executive director for library and academic support services at CGTC, says that CGTC students have access to a closed AI tutor environment where they can interact with AI, learn how to generate prompts, use it to help them study, and it's monitored very closely.
The goal of the executive order is to create public-private partnerships between schools, government agencies, and technology companies to develop curriculum and resources for teaching AI concepts from kindergarten through 12th grade. The order also directs the Secretary of Labor to increase participation in AI-related registered apprenticeships and encourages states to use funding provided under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act to develop AI skills training programs. When asked about the executive order's feasibility, Rybczynski acknowledged implementation challenges. I do think it will be challenging, but it is a rapidly evolving technology that they will need to address in some capacity, she said.
Rybczynski compared the current hesitation about AI in education to past technological innovations. She says that when she talks to people who are a little hesitant about AI, she reminds them that when the internet was invented, it was banned from the classroom because people were terrified that people would not learn if they could just look up the answer. But looking back, what we learned is that these tools, and if we're taught how to use them properly, they just make us smarter, more efficient, and better at our jobs. CGTC has launched an AI tutor program in the fall of 2024. And that program provides students with a secure environment to practice AI interactions while protecting their privacy.
So, Jonathan, how is this impacting your kids so far?
I don't know if it has actually. I'm not super hands on with the school goings on. That's more Katie's realm. But I haven't heard anything about the use of AI at my kid's school, which is ACE in Macon, as of yet. And I know for sure they're not personally using it for any of their homework assignments, at least not yet.
Okay.
So
Well,
more to come on that.
Just keep monitoring them when they start doing it.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. Shein and Temu just started raising prices. Last Friday, the two companies raised prices on many goods in advance of new tariffs set to take effect next week. The companies had informed shoppers of the coming price hikes. American customers of Temu and Shein, which source most of their products from China, have largely been able to avoid paying tariffs due to an exemption, and we've talked about this on the show too, of goods worth less than $800. The exemption, known as de minimis, is expiring today, May 2nd, which is a result of an executive order President Donald Trump signed earlier this month. Business will either have to pay a 120% tariff or a flat $100 fee per postal item. Come June 1st, the flat fee will increase to $200.
Who would want to buy anything from there?
I agree.
Lots of people. It's very
With
inexpensive.
that extra fee?
Yeah, but still, it's still very cheap. Even
Once
with
it's
the extra-
absorbed, it probably still will be pretty inexpensive.
pretty inexpensive.
Yeah. Shein said the following: due to recent changes in global trade rules and tariffs, our operating expenses have gone up. To keep offering the products you love without compromising on quality, we'll be making price adjustments. We're doing everything we can to keep prices low and minimize the impact on you. Temu posted a note with similar language to customers informing them of price increases. The lowest income households in America spent more than triple their share of income on apparel compared to the wealthiest households.
So I find that interesting is back in the day when we were just getting started, I bought used clothes to wear to the office. Nobody could tell they were used and they were very cheap. I have clients who buy all their clothes from Goodwill and Wear, which is downtown in Macon. It's a nice store and the proceeds fund help the homeless shelters. The point is that you don't need to buy a new outfit at the store or online. Many times clothes in thrift shops still have tags on them. I mean, you can work around this.
We have a friend that's a multimillionaire, and he prides himself in the fact that he only wears clothes that he buys from Goodwill.
Yes. I
Or
have
you- or
clients
you
like
can-
that too.
And you could never tell.
Or you can be like me and just never buy new clothes. I still wear shirts from high school, and my wife's like, Jonathan,
Yeah.
are you wearing that
We've been meaning to
stupid
talk
shirt
to you
again?
about that.
Not to work.
Yeah, right.
I dress very professional at work.
Right, you're right.
On the weekends,
Take those flip-flops and put them in your car. Okay?
right, exactly.
It was so funny. I went shopping yesterday at lunch and I buy everything off clearance racks. I mean, I'm just addicted to saving money and buying cheap.
Yep.
I mean, I can't pay full price for anything. I just can't do it.
But we
a habit.
went to a Nordstrom rack when we
Oh,
were
that
at
was
a
fun.
conference down in Jacksonville, and I just could not believe what we found in that place. It was fantastic.
The prices were amazing.
They were.
That's a good habit to have, Sherry.
It is. All right, we're right at the halftime, so let's go ahead and take a note from our sponsor, us.
You've been listening to Your Money, produced by Lifespan Wealth Management with your hosts, Sherry Goss, Randy Goss, and me, Jonathan Eisner. If you'd like to contribute to the show, you can email Randy at rfmoney.com with a question or topic that you'd like us to cover in a future broadcast. Our number is 478-922-8100. We have offices in Macon and Warner Robins for your convenience.
And you can find out more about us by visiting our website, retirerelax.com. Lifespan Wealth Management has been serving the Middle Georgia area for over 30 years, helping people like you achieve their investment and retirement goals. And if you're in need of a financial advisor, please contact our office at 478-922-8100.
We also offer seminars to the community at no cost. So if you are in need of a guest speaker for your church or civic organization, give us a call and together we can decide what topics you would like us to present to your group.
Again, our contact number is 478-922-8100. Now back to the show.
So, switching topics, do you have a will? I continue to be amazed at clients and prospects who are retired and don't have a will. Randy was in the military when we married, and we moved out of the U.S. for his next tour. The government was mandated that we have a will and power of attorney in the event that he was deployed and I had to get the kids back to the U.S. So because we had to do this, it just became a habit. We're working on some changes to our wills right now, so I wanted to talk about this. Here's a question for all of you. When is the last time you reviewed your will and your beneficiaries? Do you have a power of attorney in place, and does your financial advisor have a copy of it?
And how about an advance directive, which is the form you use to state what level of treatment you want if you are very ill and cannot come back to be who you are right now. All of these forms are free now. You just have to get a will and power of attorney notarized with your bank, and they'll likely do it for you.
So the free will can be found at meetfabric, meetfabric.com/wills, and it is sponsored by Gerber Baby Food. The free POA and advanced directives can be found by searching free POA Emory Law. They are all fillable forms. So the next time you have a family gathering, I suggest you share this information. I'll never forget the call I got one night at Channel 13 after talking about wills. This gentleman called and he said he didn't need a will. So I asked him if he owned a house, and he did. Then he said, well, my wife and I have been married for years, so she'll just automatically get it. I explained that is not true. If they had one child, she'd get half the house, but if they had more children, she'd only get a third of the house. He had never heard of this, and he was retired. So share this with your family, please.
Yeah, you don't want the state or any government agency making these decisions
No.
for you.
Right.
Yeah, this is something that's very easy to complete. Don't be intimidated by this process. Once you download these documents, just take the time to read through them and just fill in the blanks and then get it notarized. Speaking of getting the document notarized, do not sign the document before you meet with the notary. The notary must witness you signing the document, so be sure to bring a valid ID and sign the document in their presence.
Yeah, I mean, you guys either are on the tail end or have finished up setting up a trust for your family.
We're right in the middle of it.
Oh, you're in the middle of it still. Okay. I just know that at some point you guys told me, hey, you're sleeping a lot better right now because
Yes,
this trust is going to establish things that you want for your family after you're
Yes.
gone.
that's correct.
You guys have kids, grandkids, and you want to make sure that they're taken care of, but don't abuse what you leave them.
Yep.
And so, so you guys are
And we're
walking-
very happy with our attorney so far. And if you want to
give
know
a
who
plug.
that is,
Give a plug.
Moody and Associates out of Perry, Georgia.
Heard a lot of good things about Moody.
So anyway, let's talk about Americans and financing their groceries.
This is insane.
And right now,
Ridiculous.
more Americans are financing groceries with buy now, pay later loans, and more are paying for those bills late, which is just terrible. An April survey conducted by 2,000 U.S. consumers ages 18 to 79 showed around a half reported having used buy now, pay later services. Of those consumers, 25% responded that they were using buy now, pay later loans to buy groceries, which is up 14% from 2024. Meanwhile, 41% of the respondents said that they had made late payments on these loans in the past year, up 34% from the prior year. The figures are the latest indicator that some consumers are cracking under the pressure of uncertain economy and having trouble affording essentials such as groceries as they contend with the persistent inflation and high interest rates. The loans, which allow consumers to split purchases up into several smaller payments, are a popular alternative to credit cards because they don't offer they don't charge interest. But consumers can see high fees if they pay late, and they can run into problems if they stack up multiples of these loans. In LendingTree's survey, 60% of the buy now, pay later users said they have had multiple loans at once, with nearly a fourth saying they've held at least three or more of these at once. It's just really important for people to be cautious when they use these types of loans, because even though they can be really good interest-free tools to help you make it from one paycheck to the next, there's also a lot of risk in mismanaging it. So people, you should really tread carefully with these loans.
Yep, and we've talked about recently on the show that DoorDash would begin accepting buy now, pay later financing for
That's insane.
food deliveries. I mean,
Yep.
Affirm, Klarna, you've heard of these. There's a few others. They let you take out loans for just about anything. Consumer advocates don't think it's a great idea. I agree.
When so-called buy now, pay later loans from financial technology companies emerged a few years ago as a way to pay for purchases in installments, they were marketed as an option for splurge moments, like when you buy a pricey pair of new shoes or a new TV. The loans are typically short-term and interest-free, but as more and more retailers over the past year have begun making such payment plans available, so have the range of things consumers can buy with a BNPL loan, even groceries and household goods. BNPL lenders say their products provide an alternative to potentially high-interest credit cards and make it easier for people to budget. Built-in protections exist so customers don't face significant adverse financial consequences if they miss a payment.
Consumers, this I guess shouldn't surprise us, but consumers have flocked to the services. I mean, you see these little ads for Klarna when you go to check out online just about everywhere, right? Where it's like pay in four installments, or
Everyone's just
interest-free.
really encouraging you to do this.
They're right in your face.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's not a surprise. It says 1 in 5 Americans have used a buy now, pay later service, according to Consumer Reports. Spending with buy now, pay later now represents almost 4% of all U.S. online retail transactions. I'm surprised it's that low, actually.
Right, me too.
That number is almost certain to grow as financing options continue to expand. The creep of buy now, pay later into just about every facet of shopping heightens concerns about the new financing trend, which can have costly financial consequences and put people into untenable levels of debt. They point out that there are penalties and potentially interest charges for missing more than one payment, and they don't offer the same consumer protections that credit cards do.
One of the biggest issues with these loans is that there is no assessment made about whether someone using this financing has the ability to repay the debt. Those concerns have attracted the attention of regulators. In December, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau opened an inquiry into the business practices of 5 leading BNPL providers in the U.S., including Affirm, Afterpay, Klarna, PayPal, and Zip. Chuck Bell with Consumer Reports says some consumers may struggle to juggle automatic payments on small loans from multiple BNPL lenders, which, unlike most financial institutions, typically conduct only a soft credit inquiry before agreeing to lend money. People are understandably afraid of credit card debt, but they can also run up a lot of BNPL debt that will have a similar negative impact. A survey conducted in August of 2021 on behalf of the finance company Credit Karma found that 34% of consumers who had BNPL services fell behind on one or more payment. The survey found that 72% of those missed payments believe their credit score dropped as a result. Personal bankruptcy filings also show how easy it is for individuals who are already financially stretched to tap BNPL lenders. One Florida woman who filed in 2020 listed 43 individual loans from a single lender on her bankruptcy petition. How is this even possible?
I don't know how one lender would say, okay, we'll give you a 43rd one.
Here's
I don't-
another one.
I don't
Here's
get
another
this
one.
at
Right.
all.
It's unbelievable. One other concern is that consumers may spend more than they normally would without a BNPL service. In the Consumer Reports survey, of those who had used a BNPL loan, 47% said that they didn't have enough money to purchase what they wanted and that the service enabled them to afford it. A lot of this sounds like wants versus needs. A 0% pay-in-4 loan can be a great deal if you know that you'll have funds to pay it back. But it can be a risky proposition for people who are living paycheck to paycheck, who may take on more debt than they can reasonably afford. Policies on whether delinquent loans get reported to a credit bureau vary by lender. Afterpay and Klarna, for example, say they do not report missed payments to credit bureaus. Affirm says that some delinquencies do end up getting reported, as do some timely payments. And the popular image of BNPL loans is that borrowers use them selectively to buy one or few items at the same time. But some users have been able to stack up multiple loans similar to a revolving line of credit. Kind of scary.
Right. Some BNPL products allow you to spend up to a high credit limit, but unlike credit cards, they're not regulated to require an assessment of ability to repay or to provide regular consolidated billing statements. Not getting regular statements is terrible, especially if someone is not really good at tracking their spending. The borrower might underestimate the risk of charging a lot of purchases to their account. Another unusual characteristic of BNPL loans is that, unlike most debt, consumers can sometimes use credit cards to make their payments. Credit card companies typically do not permit paying your bill with another credit card.
That's just hilarious to me. BNPL lenders say most customers use a debit card or a bank account to make the payments, but credit cards are indeed used by some of the BNPL consumers. BNPL lenders generally set a minimum amount you must spend in order to receive financing. To order at Chipotle through Zip, for example, the user has to spend at least $35. The company, like most lenders, requires users to pay 25% up front and then pay down the remaining balance over 4 equal biweekly installments. In the case of Zip, a $1 fee is assessed per installment.
Klarna, another BNPL firm, which I had never heard of before researching this topic, has the lowest threshold for a loan, which is $10.
Hilarious.
Yeah. And there was an example of a person on the site when I was looking at it who ordered $10 worth of paper towels, and the 4 installments came to $2.60 for a total of $10.40.
I would love to compare that to Walmart.
Right. And while most consumers might not be inclined to take out a $10 paper towel loan, the ability to finance anything and everything is likely to grow. The problem we see is this: if you already are struggling with debt or money management, then every penny should count. Often people think it's just another 40 cents or another $2. Well, all that adds up. When you get to the end of the month and you wonder why your bank account is at zero and there's still a week or a month, left in the month, think about the little things that you could have saved money on here and there. And all too often, consumers tend to think that they'll have more money to pay bills next month or the month after that. The BPNL payment method is propelled by your optimism that you can handle the purchase and installments that are due over the next 6 to 8 weeks. But why should you want to finance regularly recurring expenses like groceries with these types of loans? Chances are excellent that next month you'll be buying these same things again. So then you'll have last month's bills on top of the current ones to pay for.
Right. I would suggest that consumers consider using credit cards instead of BNPL loans. Credit cards have protections that BNPL loans don't. If there's a dispute about a charge or a refund is needed, credit card issuers will pause repayment until the issue is settled. Conversely, some customers have reported having trouble getting refunds for items they were purchased with a BNPL loan but never delivered because of pandemic-related supply chain issues. In addition, many credit cards offer robust cashback rewards for purchases, as well as insurance for rental cars, extended warranties, and protection for items that get damaged or stolen. When you pay your bill on time, credit card issuers report your good behavior to the credit bureaus, which helps you boost your credit score. Some BNPL lenders may send delinquent loans to debt collectors, though each has different terms for how that may be done. If you take out a new BNPL later loan, make sure to read the fine print about how payments and collections could be handled. Don't just click through the website or app permission screens on the fly. You can easily miss the facts you need to know.
Randy, to your point from a minute ago, if you're putting essentials like groceries and paper towels, on a buy now, pay later, there's bigger issues going on, I think.
I think some people go to this route just for convenience every now and then. I get it. We're in a society where we want something right now. We're not willing to wait for it, but still, if you're having problems with money, this is just going to exacerbate the problem.
And I'm with you. If there's a one-time thing that you want to treat yourself to and you feel like you can handle it over 4 or 8 installments, sure. But groceries?
Yeah. But when you're talking about a $35 lunch from Chipotle,
you shouldn't be eating that in the first place.
You shouldn't be eating it.
Right.
That's just terrible. That's a waste of money.
Right.
It's just
a
horrible.
Very expensive.
I think it creates a bad habit. I can just.
Did you really need that?
Right. Do you
really
need
to make a peanut butter sandwich and eat an apple?
Yeah. Right.
You can't because it doesn't meet the $10 minimum.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
And if you're looking, I see people just going and buying just tons and tons of clothes and stuff like that. Everyone feels like they need a new pair, a new outfit for everything. They don't.
Statusy.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, it's not very sustainable.
It's not, and that's the reason so many people are in debt. They don't have an emergency fund. They don't have to have. What was the statistic that we read about recently? Less than 1% of Americans have less than $2,000 in the bank.
Yeah, it was low.
It was very low. They could not come up with $2,000 in 30 days if they had to.
Right.
Terrible.
I think it was actually 1,000.
1,000.
I think it was 1,000. All right, switching gears. We'll stop preaching about BNPL. All right, DeSantis has a solution to Florida's labor shortage, and that is teenagers. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' office has drafted and pitched language for the current legislative session that would cut restrictions on the hours that minors can work. The proposal is moving through the legislature now. It has support from the small business groups and opposition from unions and advocates for the poor. Florida is the latest in a string of states looking to revamp or try to change child labor laws in recent years. Some have extended the hours teens can work while school is in session or have scrapped work permits. Others, like Ohio, have lowered the minimum age that they will allow to serve alcohol, while Iowa allowed 16 and 17-year-olds to take jobs that they were previously barred from. such as demolition operations and brick manufacturing, and work training programs. The bills are partly a response to a shortage of workers for employers such as supermarkets, retailers, and theme parks. Supporters, including small business groups, chambers of commerce, and restaurants and lodging associations, say that the change helps businesses meet their labor needs and give teens valuable life experience. I'm a fan of this.
I am too.
I am too.
As somebody with a teen currently who we want to work, DeSantis said that what's wrong with expecting, he asked, what's wrong with expecting our young people to be working part-time? And why do we say we need to import foreigners, even import them illegally, when, teenagers used to work at these types of places? In Florida, a 2023 law cracking down on illegal immigration prompted some workers to leave the state and made filling jobs harder for some small businesses. But the state's labor market continues to be tight. Florida's unemployment rate was 3.6% in February compared with 4.1% nationally. And the job openings rate in Florida was 4.8% of employment in January compared with 4.6% nationally.
Last year, DeSantis signed into law a bill that loosened some restrictions on construction work for 16 and 17-year-olds. He signed a separate bill that extended the hours that minors could work, a measure he apparently thinks fell short. Under federal child labor standards, people under 18 are largely barred from certain occupations, such as mining or meatpacking operations. Those under 16 can work only limited hours, for example, no overnight shifts. Children 13 and under can work only fewer jobs. Many states have laws that are stricter than the federal standards, but more than a dozen other states have pared back child labor laws. Among those supporting the bills are conservative advocacy groups such as the Foundation for Government Accountability, a Naples, Florida-based organization that has lobbied for such legislation in several states. They often cast the issue as one of parental rights, arguing that families, not the government, should decide whether teens work and what jobs they do. Kim Barlag, chief executive of the Pickerington Area Chamber of Commerce outside Columbus, Ohio, backs a state bill that would allow 14 and 15-year-olds to work until 9 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. on school nights. Companies face debilitating workforce issues, she said, and cited two local businesses, a soda fountain and an ice cream shop that rely on teen workers and are open later than 7 p.m. Ohio Senate this month approved both the bill and a resolution urging Congress to change the federal law that prohibits children those ages from working until 9 p.m. during the school year. The measures are now in the State House, and other states are watching it, sure to follow. So Randy and I both started out as dishwashers at, I think, the age of 15. I think. I'm not sure it was 15 or 16.
I remember my parents dropping me off at the Western Sizzler.
Oh, yeah.
And Sizzling, excuse me. And they would pick me up. And then I got my driver's license and I would show up. But, all through high school, I had 3 jobs. I worked as a dishwasher and a meat cutter in the Western Sizzling. I worked at a cotton mill. And I also worked at a Christmas tree farm. So I had 3 jobs that I went to all the time. Plus, I played in the band. I got A's and B's in high school. I never missed a day of school. I don't think that working is a deterrent to getting good grades and staying in school. So
I think it's motivational.
I think it's motivational.
It probably helps.
I wanted to make the money. I wanted to have my own money. I wanted to have these jobs.
Well, your parents didn't buy you hardly anything, so you needed your own money so you could buy something.
But and the prerequisite that they gave me was, well, you can go to work if you want, provided you continue to make good grades in school.
I will just never forget my first job as a waitress. I was first a dishwasher, which was really horrific. And then they promoted me to a waitress, and I had to wear this Raggedy Ann outfit. and it was pretty horrific. But I made a pile of money every day. Yeah. And I would come home and count my tips and just be excited about the fact that I could afford to buy my own clothes.
I loved getting my paycheck when I was in high school.
Yeah, it was motivating.
Yep.
So anyways.
I agree with all of it. Again, as somebody who wants my kid to work and excel in school, I think it's all very good.
I think it's really good. It's motivational. And if you start out with a crummy job and then you keep moving up into better and better jobs, you're even more motivated.
Then you learn to appreciate earning something.
That's right. All right. We've often lamented on this show about how expensive basic transportation has become. Now there are 2 options hitting the market that are going to be between $10,000 and $25,000.
I'm going to interrupt you. I said something exactly along these lines. I love this
Yeah.
because probably about 3 months ago, I don't know if you guys remember, I said,
Yeah.
can't they just make, and I don't want to spoil anything.
No, you're good.
Yeah, but can't they just make a very basic car
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
for $12,000?
Exactly. Well, they heard you. Okay?
They heard me.
Yeah. I think Jeff Bezos was listening to
He
you.
was.
Okay?
He had to have been listening to the show that week.
Well, the first one is a Jeff Bezos backed endeavor, and it's called Slate Auto. And just a few days ago, Slate Auto revealed plans for a factory in Warsaw, Indiana, to assemble its $25,000 all-electric truck. Slate expects to make its first customer deliveries at the end of 2026. Slate Auto confirmed Tuesday that its $25,000 electric truck will be assembled at a former printing plant in Warsaw. I personally like what the Slate team did. They found an old factory and repurposed it. And the Slate CEO said that he's excited to be able to revitalize the old factory and the supporting community, where 500 jobs were lost when the old factory closed. And now the new factory is going to bring in over 2,000 new jobs, which is great. The Slate truck, which comes standard with 150 miles of range and a starting price of $25,000, is expected to be the cheapest new electric truck and pickup in the United States, and staking out a spot in the market that no truck or any electric vehicle or otherwise has been able to. Customer deliveries were expected to commence on the pickup truck, with tax and incentives could cost less than $20,000. So make your reservation now, which you can do for $50, and that is refundable if you decide not to take it.
That's pretty cool. If you want to check those trucks out, go to slate.auto.com. You can customize the truck in multiple colors, which will actually not be painted onto the car, but wrapped. This is a very novel approach. This is a basic truck, no electric windows,
And
no radio.
I went through it and did the entire workup on the truck.
Did you?
It's pretty cool. It looks like a Range Rover, an older Range Rover,
Really?
very soft curves and everything. Not unattractive, but not sexy either.
Right.
So,
Got it. Well, for the price tag, it's pretty attractive. Well, where was I? So the paint, so they wrap it instead of painting it. Very basic, no electric windows, no radio, but the company has audio connections and mounts so that you can install your own Bluetooth speaker. It does have air conditioning.
That's a good thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
Especially
probably
in
pretty
Georgia.
needed in the South. The second vehicle, I'm a bigger fan of this one just because I'm a Toyota fan, but the second vehicle comes from Toyota. It's not an electric vehicle, and it comes in gas and diesel, and it takes transportation back to the basics. Toyota has rethought every inch of this truck with an eye toward cost optimization and delivering everything that's absolutely necessary and nothing that is not. The Toyota's goal is to produce a truck that sells for $10,000.
This is fantastic.
Yes, I'll believe that number when I see it, but
Right.
even 15
yeah,
or 18
Right.
would be so much better than what we have now.
right.
The base model is a flatbed that looks a little like a Lego project. Not the prettiest truck, but I would still drive it for $10,000. Plus, it's a Toyota with a tried and true power plant under the hood. The development team even invented upfitters or retrofitters from around the globe to weigh in on how to better optimize the chassis and cab to prepare them for aftermarket parts and upgrades. Here are some of the changes, what's still included and what's been left out. All flat glazing for the windshield, side, and rear windows. Flatbed with no sides as standard with a limited number of upgrades like the drop side model. No anti-lock braking, but a load-sensitive proportioning valve is standard, and the ABS will be optional. Don't love this one. No airbags. These will be.
That can't be.
That's in America. It will
I can't
have
imagine that's gonna.
in TSA since I think it was 1998. You
I
have to have
cheated.
them.
I
Yep.
cheated. I read the article and
Yep.
knew it was 1998. No armrests, just door pockets that double as door pulls. Crank windows. Man, we are taking it back old school. Crank
Right.
windows. Plastic and rubber galore
Yep.
inside the vehicle.
And well, car critics say the vehicle handles great despite the stripped down feel. And I imagine the company will need to install the airbags to sell them in the United States.
Right.
Like we said, since 1998, they're required to have them. So the entry price of $10,000 might be a little low, but anyway,
But again, even if it's 11 with airbags or
Yep.
12,
Right.
sign me up.
I just find this amazing. I can't believe this is happening, and they're gonna sell a pile of this stuff
Yep.
compared to what's out there on the market and what everything costs.
Yep.
Right.
Crazy. Next up, Chinese automaker stuns industry with new electric car breakthrough. BYD, a Chinese car maker, unveiled a groundbreaking fleet of electric vehicles. The EVs could charge changed the game in the industry, as these vehicles can be recharged in the same amount of time as it takes to refill gas-powered vehicles. The company began selling these EVs this month, and they are capable of providing around 249 miles of range in 5 minutes. By directly addressing one of the key hurdles to BEV adoption, charging speed, the company is offering customers a clearer path to switch from internal combustion to EVs. Both these types of vehicles are game changers.
I like this. All right. This past week, I received a call from a friend who was laid off from his job. And at his age, which is 64 actually, he feels that he will not find another job in his field of expertise. And while we talked, he said he was going to cash out his 401k and pay off his mortgage. And after we talked, I believe he had decided not to proceed with that plan. Thank goodness. First, I've been working with this friend for a long time on his money issues, and giving up a chunk of his 401k to the tax man right off the bat is a bad idea. First, he would lose 24% on his account value just based on his tax bracket. And this is not an uncommon theme that we hear in our practice, and we understand the issues. Having a mortgage-free life can provide peace of mind and financial freedom. And if your mortgage has a high interest rate, paying it off early can save you thousands in interest cost.
And paying off the mortgage, which is probably the largest bill most households have, will boost your monthly cash flow, providing you with more disposable income for investments, travel, or retirement expenses. And if the markets are volatile like right now, you might have the inclination to cash out because your 401k is losing value. Cashing out might seem safer. But remember, you have not lost money in the investment accounts until you cash out, locking in the losses.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. Cashing out the 401k has some significant disadvantages. First is that the money was invested pre-tax, and every dollar coming out of the account will be taxed at your current tax rate. And second, taking large distributions might bump you into a higher tax bracket, and it even costs you more in Medicare premiums or other government subsidies.
Yep. And a higher income can reduce your Social Security income. And don't forget that if you're under 59 and a half years of age, you'll incur a 10% penalty for early withdrawals from these retirement accounts unless they are for IRS-approved reasons, which are categorized as 401k hardship withdrawals.
Yep, and the other disadvantage is that once you do cash out, you stand to lose the growth potential of the account. And this, again, we talk about this stuff all the time. But this could leave you short later when you actually need the money the most.
Yep. Well, by the end of the conversation, we had developed a better plan than the original plan, where he would take only from the retirement account what he needed when he needed it. This way, he could keep the mortgage current and the other creditors at bay while he finds a new job. What he really needed was a sounding board, and oftentimes that is what a financial advisor is, someone to discuss issues with and address topics from a different point of view. And if you're looking for a financial advisor, please give us a call at 478-922-8100, and we will get you set up for a no-cost consultation. Seriously, it is free.
Yep.
So we got about 2.5 minutes. So
all right. Americans are anxious about the future of Social Security, so they're claiming their benefits earlier than planned, even though it could mean less income over the rest of their lives. Pending Social Security claims for retirement, survivor and health insurance benefits totaled $580,000 plus in March, up from $500,000 a year earlier. Agency officials said that fear-mongering has driven people to claim benefits earlier. Many effects of the Trump administration's swift and sweeping changes to federal agencies aren't yet apparent, but with Social Security, they are already changing households' financial decisions. Americans have long been anxious about Social Security's stability, and Trump's second term is heightening those anxieties, despite vowing not to cut benefits from the program, and that is causing people to make decisions based on fear. Recent surveys reflect the concern. More than 75% of U.S. adults worry a great deal or a fair amount about Social Security, a 13-year high according to a March Gallup poll.
When Social Security finances are referenced negatively in the news, workers tend to report a desire to claim benefits earlier, according to a 2021 study by the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College. Social Security finances have long been under pressure because of the aging population. Unless Congress shores up the retirement program, it is projected to deplete its reserves in 2033, which would trigger a 21% reduction in benefits. Retirees also take Social Security sooner than expected for reasons including deteriorating health and job losses. A quarter of people filed for benefits when they turned a minimum claiming age of 62 in 2023. Honestly, every person's situation is different, but we usually discourage claiming early because benefits increase with each month sum of ways to take them beyond the minimum age of 62. The increases stop at age 70, and benefits starting at age 70 are 76% higher than at age 62.
Which is a big deal.
Yep. So anyway, we're at the end of the show here, Sherry. So as always, we thank you for tuning in. We definitely appreciate the feedback and the comments we received. If you'd like to contribute to the show, please email me, randy@rfmoney.com, and we hope that you tune in next week. And we have a great show lined up for you next week. And the topic is financial independence. And this subject is near and dear to us. So we hate to see anyone struggle because of money troubles. And we hope that we can share some wisdom and encouraging words that can help those struggling on the path to their financial independence. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to Your Money, produced by Lifespan Wealth Management. As financial advisors, the main thing we do is provide retirement planning advice and manage our clients' investment accounts. If you're looking for an investment advisor, call our office at 478-922-8100 to set up your complimentary consultation. You can learn more about our services by visiting our website at retirerelax.com.
And if you'd like to contribute to the show, you can email me, randy@rfmoney.com, with a question or a topic that you would like for us to cover in a future broadcast. And we look forward to connecting with you next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Osaic Wealth Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Osaic Wealth is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are